construction. Now, we had reported on this about a month or so ago that this was expected, so it's nothing particularly new, but there's just a little bit more sort of urgency saying that this could be happening as soon as today. And it's obvious that weaker than anticipated growth so far this year has prompted this kind of move. That's a lot of money, $1 trillion, $137 billion in stimulus. From the Wall Street Journal, that China has not yet said whether its leader Xi Jinping will accept President Biden's invitation to visit the U.S. next month. However, Beijing is gearing up for a sort of charm offensive in the United States that, pardon me, appears designed to prepare the way for this. It would be Xi's first trip to the U.S. in 6.5 years. She's expected to dispatch Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi this week to Washington for prep meetings. Also this week, you'll have a delegation of Chinese VIPs and sports figures like basketball star Yao Ming going to New York for a series of public engagements. And then also from the Washington Post, it picks up on that. It talks a little bit how the Biden administration really wants to use every lever it can to pressure Iran to hold back from the conflict, and the U.S. will be using the Xi trip and the Wang Yi visit, if both happen, as partners of Tehran to try to use their influence on that. All right, a minute here before the top of the hour. Vonnie Quinn is with you. She'll be back a little bit later in the show. Vonnie, what are you thinking about this morning?
Well, I'm watching what could be a pivot point in U.S. markets. It's really phenomenal that we open this Monday in October, which is known for being a very volatile month, and suddenly we have this 20 basis point move in the 10-year yield. And, it may or may not be because a couple of billionaires came out and said there's going to be a recession, as Terry Spratt said, a bold call from the black man. But at the same time, it does feel like it could be somewhat of a shift in markets at the moment.
Yeah, it feels like it's just a bit of chop. We had so many different factors affecting. One day we get, a little bit more on one angle, and the next day the next. The next hour of this show begins right now.
24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com and the Bloomberg Business app. This is KNEW Oakland, KOSF 103.7 FM, HD2 San Francisco.
October 24th in Hong Kong, Monday, October 23rd in New York. And coming up this hour, U.S. 10-year yields fall dramatically after topping 5% for the first time since 2007. NVIDIA is said to be using ARM-based technology to develop PC chips. And Microsoft will invest $3.2 billion to expand its cloud computing and AI technology in Australia.
2 more hostages have been released by Hamas. House Republicans attempt to select a candidate for Speaker, and Turkey's president moves Sweden's NATO application forward. I'm Doug Krisner with Global News.
Will we have a rematch of last year's World Series after tonight? I'm Dan Schwartzman. I'll have that story and more coming up in Bloomberg Sports.
That's all straight ahead on Bloomberg Daybreak Asia. On Bloomberg 1130 New York, Bloomberg 99.1 Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 106.1 Boston, Bloomberg 960 San Francisco, Sirius XM 119, and around the world on BloombergRadio.com and via the Bloomberg Business app.
Hi, everybody. Good morning from Hong Kong. I'm Brian Curtis. We'll get to the news in just a moment. Let's take a closer look at markets here as we get started on hour 2 of Bloomberg Daybreak Asia. Asian equity
approaching a railroad crossing.
Lower. We'll get you the opening numbers in Australia in just a moment. We had a lot of volatility in the bond market, and that created some questions for investors. You had a big drop in bond yields, as Vonnie said a few moments ago, almost 20 basis points of a drop in the 10-year yield. And while that might have seemed good news to equity investors with lower market interest rates, it did presage sort of thinking that recession is coming. And we heard that from a couple of big investors, Bill Ackman and also Bill Gross, talking about how perhaps yields have topped out for the moment. We'll see. At the moment, the 10-year is at 4.85%, the 2-year at 5.04%. In the end, we had a 6 basis point drop in the 10-year and a 2 basis point drop at the lower end, at the shorter end of the curve, with the 2-year at 5.04%. In terms of Asian equity futures, Mixed to lower, Nikkei futures 31,110. That is above the cash close in the latest session. Australian cash market trading here has moved up about 0.1% for the ASX 200. Hang Seng Index futures again are flat. Dollar yen 149.69 and the oil price $86.02 a barrel. Now it's time for global news. 2 more hostages in Gaza have been released by Hamas. Doug Krisner has news.
Approaching a railroad crossing.
Brian, both of these hostages are elderly women, and Egyptian media reports say the women reached the Rafah border crossing after being released due to efforts by Egypt. The New York Times is reporting the women were then taken to a medical center in Israel and reunited with family. President Biden is saying a ceasefire in Gaza can be discussed after hostages are released. Now, Gaza militants are holding over 200 hostages. The State Department says some of the 10 Americans remain unaccounted for and are among those held in captivity. Bloomberg opinion editor Bobby Ghosh says Israel is not only dealing with the hostages, but also humanitarian concerns and public opinion.
There's a lot of pressure on the Israelis to hold off, to restrain themselves from the United States primarily, but from the wider world, I would say, cautioning against the ground invasion.
Now, that is Bobby Ghosh from Bloomberg Opinion. By the way, the Pentagon has sent military advisors into Israel. This includes a Marine Corps general versed in urban warfare. The U.S. is also speeding multiple sophisticated air defense systems to the Mideast days ahead of that anticipated ground assault into Gaza. Stateside, it's been 20 days since the U.S. House has had a speaker. 9 Republicans have put their names forward for the job. Here is former Republican Congressman Mick Mulvaney.
So these are brand new people vying to be Speaker of the House. Doesn't mean you can't do a good job. I think it makes it harder. But what it does mean is that you're really an unknown quantity. Look, the simple fact there's 9 people running means that there is no perceived front runner. I like Tom Emmer. I think Tom Emmer may be a great speaker. He's certainly a member of leadership. But if his entry into the race cleared the field, it didn't. Which means that not everybody sees him as the front runner.
That is former Republican Congressman Mick Mulvaney. By the way, at this hour in Washington, House Republicans are meeting behind closed doors to hear from these candidates. Internal party voting will determine a nominee. China's top diplomat will be in Washington on Thursday for a 3-day visit. Foreign Minister Wang Yi is scheduled to meet with Secretary of State Antony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. A range of issues will be discussed. They include the Israel-Hamas conflict, the Ukraine war, and the recent vessel collision in the South China Sea. Global news 24 hours a day and whenever you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Doug Krisner, and this is Bloomberg. Brian.
All right, Doug, thanks very much. Let's take a look at some of the top business stories now. Well, we're hearing that NVIDIA is using ARM Holdings technology to develop chips that would challenge Intel. It would challenge Intel's processors in personal computers. We get more on the story from Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet.
It ratchets up competition between the 2 semiconductor makers. Those sources say NVIDIA, whose artificial intelligence accelerator chips already dominate that market, is attempting to make central processing units for PCs. The CPUs would run Microsoft's Windows operating system and go on sale as soon as 2025. In New York, Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Radio.
And briefly looking at the stock performance, NVIDIA traded up 3.8% in the session. Intel was down about 3.1%, and ARM Holdings really rallied up about 4.9%. To the oil patch now, oil giant Chevron buying the energy company Hess in an all-stock deal that's worth about $53 billion. The move gives Chevron 30% ownership of more than 11 billion barrels worth of resources in Guyana. Chevron will also get Hess's Bakken assets in North Dakota. Chevron CEO Mike Wirth explains why those shale oil assets were so important.
For us, it's about adding another scale position in shale that is performing very well. We can bring whatever expertise we may have. We're working on technologies to improve recovery and learn from our new colleagues at Hess who are doing things in a basin. When we went into DJ, we learned some things that we hadn't been doing in the Permian that made us better. I'm certain the same thing will happen here. So it's absolutely an important part of the transaction.
Chevron CEO Mike Wirth Today's announcement comes a couple of weeks after ExxonMobil agreed to buy shale oil producer Pioneer, and that deal was at $58 billion. Walt Disney is said to be nearing a multi-billion-dollar deal with Reliance Industries of India. We hear the cash and stock deal would have Reliance purchase a controlling stake in Disney's star business in India. Bloomberg's Simone Foxman says there are still a lot of details that need to be worked out.
There's a discrepancy in what each company believes this should be valued. Disney, we understand from sources, values at around $10 billion, whereas Reliance sees something like $7 to $8 billion. Interestingly, this has to do with a controlling stake in this Disney Star unit, not sort of the piecemeal transactions that were potentially considered before. Disney, therefore, likely to continue owning a minority stake. We should caveat that no decision has been made yet, or on any deal, or on any valuation.
That's Bloomberg's Simone Foxman. We hear Reliance's acquisition could be announced as early as next month. Microsoft has said it would invest the equivalent of $3.2 billion in Australia. This would be to expand its cloud computing and AI infrastructure over the next couple of years. More from Bloomberg's Paul Allen.
Microsoft described the investment as its largest in Australia in the past 4 years, and it will help the company grow its data centers across Canberra, Sydney and Melbourne from 20 sites up to 29. The announcement comes one day after Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese touched down in the US for a 4-day official visit. Both countries have agreed to work more closely on technology and research as part of the second pillar of the AUKUS agreement signed in 2021. Under AUKUS, the US, the UK and Australia will share information in critical areas such as quantum computing and artificial intelligence. I'm Paul Allen, Bloomberg Radio.
The Credit Derivatives Determinations Committees have been asked to rule if Chinese developer Country Garden's missed payments of late trigger credit default swaps. Story from Bloomberg's Bonnie Au in Hong Kong.